So since we're talking about health, let me talk to you about this. Years ago, many women had to undergo cesarean section, which is CS, only because of the medical complications and unadvised by doctors. But today, the story seems different. The choice of CS has now become popular, contrary to myths. Those who choose that birthing method are not, quote unquote, women enough. On a bed all-female chat show, Strong and Sassy, on Joy 99.7 FM last week, some mothers discussed the topic, whether or not you would opt for a cesarean section just to protect your genitals for sexual activities. Host Na Ashoko and her friends discussed vaginal birth versus the cesarean section and its complications on their health and sexual lives.
After I had him, I did feel uncomfortable. It did affect my sex life for a while, where I felt like maybe my vagina wasn't as, it didn't have the same elasticity as it did prior to me giving birth. So it was something that I had an issue. I never really actually had a conversation. This is probably the first time I'm actually talking about it. But I'm talking about it because there's other people who might be going through the same thing. I was so self-conscious. I didn't want to have sex for a while because I just felt like it just wasn't the same anymore. Does it feel the same now? Well, I suppose it does. I haven't had any complaints. I think that everything's fine. Now, I wouldn't opt for a cesarean. I don't know. I wouldn't opt for it, but then I don't have an issue with anybody who does. I feel like your body, your choice. Do what works for you.
If I'm to have another child, I would opt for cesarean.
Why?
I had tears down there because they tore me. So the stitches were like, I had the first one I had stitches. I had one on the side, like 2 on both sides. The second one I had a lot of stitches, and then at about 3 weeks it tore again.
What?
It was the most painful thing I have ever experienced, because it tore from up to down.
Ouch.
And I still have issues now. I mean, when I pee, is like when I'm going to a meeting, or when I'm going to a place where I'm not very familiar with, I won't drink water, because I can't. The pee control is
limited.
Yes, it is.
So if you could do it again, you would not. You would have a cesarean section.
No, I have a cesarean. No doubt.
No doubt about it.
No doubt about that.
Ofoyowa.
Yes.
What about you?
Okay, so after 28 hours of labor, I had to go in for a CS.
You hadn't planned on having a C-section earlier?
No. In fact, the doctors, the nurses, the anesthetists were around me like, please, let's do this for you. I'm like, no, I want to be a woman. So I'm going to have a vaginal. My husband was just standing there looking at me like, seriously.
Why? Why did you want it so bad?
It's just the social misconception of you not being woman enough because you didn't go through labor. And you know how our parents are like, I carried you for 9 months and I pushed you out. And so you have to listen to me. You know, that kind of misconception.
You want to be able to say that to your child one day?
Maybe.
Oh my.
Yeah, as educated as I am.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
I
and
can
you are a
imagine
medical professional.
Thank you. But at that point, all I wanted to do was to go natural. Then eventually I'm like, I need to think about the baby. So let's do this. And when we did, the baby was green all over, and doctor was like, you took the decision just in time.
Oh my goodness.
You took, and the whole time I was agreeing to going for it, I just kept saying, am I a bad mother for wanting to do a CS? And then I was so glad I did it. Now, today, if I have to go to have another baby, nobody has to tell me. I came out and I'm wondering, why was I so bent on having a vaginal delivery? Really? Because luckily for me, I had awesome great pain management in my hospital. I had very short scar, very small scar that you don't even see anymore. I had great care. So within 3 days, I was up and I was all over the place, like nothing had happened. So I'm like, so why was I so? I didn't get it.
Also, you had some mothers there talking to Nashoko on Strong and Sassy, a show on Joy 99.7 FM, and they were just discussing birthing methods. People seem to want to preserve their genitals. People seem to, you know, want to push so they feel like they're woman enough. Well, I had just dismissed these two pharmacists, but I had to just get them back so we can hear what their thoughts are. We've also been talking to some men on the streets to find out whether or not they'll be interested to push for a cesarean section because they want their spouses to preserve their genitals for sexual activity. Mr. Tay and Mr. Donfey, you guys have already said that you're not married, so I know. but you're health professionals.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you feel when you hear these conversations go on? I'm sure you hear this a lot in the hospitals or in the within the health sector that you work. People are opting, a lot more people are opting for cesarean section. Yeah. Is that so? And they're doing so not because doctors are advising them to do so.
Okay, so I think that's something that's really coming up. A lot of people, especially young women, are opting for CS, which personally I don't have any issue with. I don't have any problem with, because I think, and it's actually been shown that cesarean section is one of the safest surgeries that anyone could ever undergo.
Okay.
It's like one of the safest.
Okay.
So, I mean, irrespective of the fact that whether the person has a complication where it's necessary for the person to go through a CS section, I think personally when I get married, it will be difficult for me to stand and see my wife go through the pain of pushing. So if she doesn't mind, I wouldn't have any issue. But coming from a professional standpoint, I don't think there's anything. It's one of the safest, actually. It's
one of the safest. Okay, yes. I see. And you, what do you think, Mr. Do?
And I also think that it is a matter of choice, and provided we are making the choices based on accurate information.
So if the doctor doesn't really, hasn't really told you have a problem, so you should go for a cesarean
there
section.
are still some women who would opt for it.
Is that what you will advise?
Provided the woman believes that that is what
she just doesn't want to push because she wants to. She doesn't want to. You know, she wants to preserve the genitals, you know, for sexual activity. She wants. I mean, if you can cut and take out the baby, why do I have to push? That's the mentality. Is it a good one? A good mentality to have?
Well, I don't want to be the judge here, but the point is,
it's just about opinion. Just
for me, I actually also find nothing wrong with that. If the woman would want to have a CS and not push, I don't find anything wrong with it.
It's fine. It's fine by you.
Yeah.
Do men complain with women who have had normal childbirth, those who have pushed? Do men complain after childbirth about their sexual relations with them, whether or not it changes or it's the same?
I've had quite a number of complaints about men whose wives have given birth.
Pushing.
By pushing, yeah. So the complaint is that the vagina becomes larger and sexual intercourse is no longer pleasurable. So they would also want the woman to go in for a CS. I've had some men complaining.
Is that why you don't mind?
No, not necessarily, but I think I'm just respecting the choice of the woman. That is why I don't mind.
I see. Have you also had any complaints from men?
Yeah, I think especially in the pharmacies, like people come complaining and they actually would want to ask you if you could offer them anything that would help their wives.
Help their wives like tighten up. Okay.
Yes, I mean back to whatever state they were in.
Okay. And are there things like that? There are, right? I've heard that there are things like that. There are other therapies you could do.
Yeah, there are a number of things that people could do, but I mean, scientifically, there isn't a lot of evidence backing most of these claims. Okay. So, I mean, of course, when your wife gives birth, you would have to give the person time to get restored. I mean, heal and all that. So I don't expect men to expect that right after your wife has given birth, you get, I mean, the place being intact as it was before. It will take some time. There are times actually there will be a tear. So I don't want to use the medical term for that. Okay. They intentionally will do that so that it becomes easier for the baby to come out. So I think, I mean, it should be fine if she wants to push and she wants to go through the pain so that she'll have that memory of, I mean, I pushed. I think that's also cool.
It's a matter of choices, they say. It's a matter of choices, they say, but of course, they say that men are still complaining. Well, say, give them time. That's what he says, give the women time. We've been talking to some men on the streets. Here's what they say.
My first wife, I'm in a woman and I would trade. Yet in a sick crabby. So what I said, yeah, okay.
I have 3 children with my spouse, and I must say intercourse is better than if she had undergone C-section.
My wife and me try say, me didn't you okay.
You say, General, we see so. On order as soon as you are, what will be all bad town.
I think it depends on how well the woman takes care of herself after birth. It has nothing to do with the birthing method used.
And you say, Madam, I don't say, I want to